We're talking wrestling, living the dream. From Tokyo to London, across the globe, respecting the craft, we're in the know. No gimmicks or fakes, just pure passion and skill. The best talents from every wrestling hill. We dive deep into the stories behind the ring. Respecting the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best, we can't hide. We dive deep into the stories behind the ring. Respect the craft, making the fans sing. Respect the craft, respect the fight. We bring the best.
And we are live. What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to another edition of Respect the Craft. This is episode number 280. As we continue 3 Legacies week, we are joined here by, he is the star-spangled strongman himself, the Kiltman, Byron Simmons. What's going on, man? Good evening.
Oh man, thank you so much for having me tonight. This is absolutely awesome. This is an awesome thing that you're doing for us, for everybody at 3LW. Not just because it's not just me. It's just Jay. You had Ricardo Rodriguez on last week. That was an awesome interview, by the way. And on the Sunday night live stream from 3LW, he shouted you out with you were one of his favorite interviews that he's done in a while. That was really cool, man. That was really awesome to see, and then I know you got some more 3LW people coming through this week, and that's so cool, man. Thank you so much for that.
No, I thank you guys again. Any opportunity I can have to talk to amazing talent like this, I definitely jump on it, and I appreciate again the kind words. And no, I tuned in last night, and hearing that, I didn't expect. I was just like, hey, let me tune in, see what he's going to be talking about there, how much he's promoting the amazing event that is happening this Saturday, the Red Rose Rumble number 2. And when I hear him bring up, a podcast that was different and I'm like, we just did the pod. I'm not thinking he's about to bring up that. And it was awesome. So thank you again to Ricardo for that. And truly an amazing episode. If you guys haven't checked that out already, please definitely go check out that episode, as well as checking out the episode I just did with Just Jay. So definitely keep it going. Keep it going here, guys. But let me go to the comments 1 minute before we keep going. We got Tyson in the chat. What's going on? What's going on? We got Brittany saying, we love you, Byron. There you go. Some love here already. And then we got my good brother Smiley in the chat. Respect the craft and 3LW. A match made in heaven. Definitely so. Definitely so. And we're still just going strong here. But Byron, before we get into all the 3LW talk, before we get into all of that, I have to ask you the question I ask everyone that comes on. You heard the name of the podcast. It's called Respect the Craft. So for you, when you hear that term, the craft, what does that mean to you?
That's when this first started to come together, and we were planning on linking up here, and I heard the name of your podcast. It was one of these, like, that's a really, really cool way of putting it. Like, craft is such a, because you hear it described, as you hear professional wrestling and sports entertainment, and you hear indie, and you hear all these different things that get associated with it, and you hear the art of it, and but craft, to me, it kind of has this all-encompassing term. it's not any one particular part of it. And it's not that any one particular part of it is greater than any other, but it's the totality of it, right? Like like my family comes from glass blowers, going way back to the turn of the century. They worked in factories blowing glass, and they were as much art as they were function and work, right? And glass blowing was this one overarching thing, but it wasn't any particular thing that one of them did. And in that same way, I actually grabbed this, one of my bracers that I wear, because this is something where, you know, everybody has their own sets of skills. And this is something where I actually worked with my kids and we made this. My wife is the one who cut out the stars and to put on. And I taught my daughter about, you know, how to sew and things like that. That's all part of what goes into the show itself. That if we hadn't spent this little bit of time doing this one little part, but this, you could just as easily have gear made for you.
Yep.
But we're still all practicing the same craft. And that's such an awesome thing. Because, you know, especially when you look at as a whole in professional wrestling and you have everything from hardcore to lucha to, you know, the deathmatch stuff to kind of comedy wrestling on the other end of it. But it's all the same beautiful thing, and it's something we all love. So that's an awesome way of putting it, brother. I really loved it.
No, thank you so much. And that's really what I tried to get to, because to me, the craft is something that truly is encompassing of everything. It's theater, it's art, it's something where we get to truly mold and hold on, truly learn that craft here of professional wrestling in whatever flavor of ice cream you like it. If it's those styles like you mentioned there, and just really honing that craft and truly showing that respect for those that have done it prior, that continue to do it, and those that are continuing to even learn theirs as we continue here. So the term craft, it clicked, and I was like, you know what, this is a perfect way to add to the amazing thing here with respect to craft. So thank you again for the kind words. And here we go, we got Tammy showing some love as well. Love you, Kiltman. There you go. We got some love here for Byron Simmons. But I do want to bring up something, because when we talked about setting up here and getting everything settled, and I see you have a lovely, just the arm there. So you were ready to go. You had the podcast set up ready.
Oh yeah. No, listen, I am not. I ain't nobody doing nothing. Okay. But this is the same thing as like when Jared takes pictures when he does the promo pictures for us, the promo shoots, that, like, you know, I try to comb my hair and look my best, because I want to give you, since you're doing this for me, I want to give you the best that I can. And I've done a couple of these. And so I got this a little while ago, just to try to make it, you know, help give you the best product that you can, so that, you know, all the help you're giving us, I don't want you to have like bad audio. And I'm sitting out here on the deck of my house. You know what I mean? If I just had the laptop audio, you'd get the cars whizzing by over there. You don't need that.
Again, I appreciate that. I know anyone that does this definitely does, because it's why we try to every little thing that we add to this. I was talking to Jay beforehand of the equipment keeps getting more and more, just to make sure that audio is better and better. Like right now, you're coming in through, I just purchased recently a mixer, so I can fix your audio if anything. But luckily, because you have the mic right there and it's picking up direct audio, I don't have to do a thing. So definitely, thank you.
Yeah, man.
But as we continue here, I now have to ask you this. For you, what was that reason that made you decide, you know what, I have to step through those ropes? What was it that clicked that's like, you know what, I want to get involved, not just this being a passion of, not just something that was a hobby, but truly a passion that it's like, I have to get in there. I have to step through that squared circle.
So I was competing in powerlifting and strongman, and really pushing my body hard. And my wife was as well. That's something that I always like to point out, that my wife has accomplished just as much as I have in those realms. And I was looking at what what it was going to mean to be at the next level. And at the same time, Three Legacies opened. And I was kind of following them and checking them out. And I was already ready to make the step. And I wanted to make the step. And it was the perfect step to make. But I'll tell you, the moment that I decided that Three Legacies had to be my home was at Spring Forward, which was April 2023, because it's 24 now. And Ricardo Rodriguez wrestled a debuting talent. And this guy got in the ring and was phenomenal. I mean, I watched him in the audience. You can even see, because I think I sat on the hard cam side where you could like see me looking, watching. I was there with my wife, and I mean, this guy was smooth and slick and polished. And I saw that, and coming out of being in the national level of strongman and competing at the highest levels, I was like, this is the place to be, because that's a student. This is somebody who has come through and refined their skills, and he is presenting a polished product. Now, he went down. Ricardo got the pin. I want to point that out. Forever and ever and ever in perpetuity that Ricardo got the pin that night. And for those of you who don't know what I'm entirely talking about, I am, if you don't want to go back right now, stay on the live, right? Al Snook was that student.
So I'm noticing a trend here of the disdain for Al Snook.
I'm just going to throw that out there that was Al Snook.
I don't know what it is. I will be talking to Al Snook this Friday on the podcast, and 2 for 2 so far. Not Al Snook, not too liked here in the Three Legacies locker room. Yeah, but no, that is an awesome moment. That's where it clicks. And it's like, you know what, I need to now get involved, and it's insane to think. So that means that's April of last year.
Mm-hmm.
So timetable wise, how quick do you then make your way to the Three Legacies Academy from there?
May 1st.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh
okay.
yeah. That first Monday in May, I was in there, and I wasn't even an hour in. I was probably 30, 45 minutes in, and I had puked twice. And I remember walking out that night and thinking this was the challenge that I needed.
Okay.
You know, because I came in strong. But you see Just Jay, you know, Super Gen, when they're out there together, I could be strong all I want, but those guys are quick.
Yeah.
You know, you gotta catch up with everybody. But yeah.
No, and that's awesome to see, because I think that was what I was looking for with the next answer of just after, though, that you see that moment of like, you come in and it's like, again, you're coming in with that background that it's like, okay, you have the strength there. You have that conditioning is a part of that, especially to be at that level of strongman, but to then go into this and it's a whole nother beast. It's something completely different. The cardio level, just all of that I could imagine was okay, this is going to be different.
Oh yeah. And I mean, the average strongman event, and again, this is in no way, we're talking about apples and oranges here.
Of course.
That the average strongman event lasts anywhere from 60 seconds to 2 minutes.
Yeah.
There are some times when you have an unlimited time cap, and that's when things get real fun. But you're still talking about there's going to be some kind of a time cap, right?
Yeah.
And it's a totally different to train to be as strong as you possibly can and only have to do one thing for that entire time versus like, when I was in the ring with Brix Porter at Homecoming and I'm picking him up for a Saito and he's punching me in the face. Mike Tyson said everybody's got a plan till they get punched in the face. And I had a plan, man. I was picking him up and taking it in the very beginning. I was going to end that right away, and no.
It's a totally different beast. Yeah, it really is something that's like to trade for one thing, know that, and then now go into this, that it's like, okay, yeah, there's a lot more that even goes into this that I can imagine that you're not, again, going into it, you're not thinking, oh, this is everything. And then you get that call, and then it's the after that. It's like, you know what? Even doing that, those 45 minutes of even, again, like you said, puking and all that, it was like, you know what? I like it. I want more.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I didn't go home that night. Nah. Choose some gun, get back in there. And I once had 650 pounds on a yoke that I had to hold for time. And I hit 2 minutes or so, outlasted the rest of the weight class. And man, I came out of that and I set that down and I remember dropping to my knees and everything's blurry. And I thought that was the most intense thing I've ever done. And then I remember, walking out of the first time, my first student showcase show and being like, man, that was the most intense thing I've ever done. And then walking out of the show at Downtown Showdown, the dark match with Yarma Fight, and be like, that was the most intense thing I've ever done. And I realized I'm just going to stop saying that because this just keeps getting wilder and wilder, man. It's so much fun.
Got you. But now, before we get back to the wrestling side of things, I do want to ask you a little bit about powerlifting and that strongman competition for you. What was it that got you into that passion? What was it that just made you decide, you know what, we want to just condition to be able to be as strong as possible? Where did that come from for you?
So Eddie Cohen, he's considered to be like the greatest of all time in powerlifting, 220 pounds, absolute monster of a machine. He said, strength is never a weakness.
Okay.
And it kind of developed out of when I was young, my Aunt Stella, she was my great aunt, and into her 90s, she would go downstairs in her kitchen because she lived alone and get out a can of soup in the morning and stand in her kitchen and curl the soup can.
Okay.
Every single morning. She would do bicep curls with a soup can. And when you asked her why she did it, she said, because as long as I can get up and do this, I can still make myself a can of soup and live by myself. So I grew up in a family that the culture of our family was that, strength is never a weakness.
Gotcha.
Being strong. And so I lost my way for a number of years. I got involved in some crazy stuff, some bad stuff. And when I found my way back and I found structure, powerlifting and strongman training and weightlifting in general helped me find structure, find routine, and most importantly, develop what I think is one of the most important things, and that's discipline.
Gotcha.
That discipline will beat motivation every time. Because to quote Greg Panora, every body on Mount Everest started as a highly motivated individual. Motivation is going to carry you so far, but having the discipline it takes to do something, having the, respect the craft, having that it's going to be done because it has to be done. That mentality can see you through a lot. And it really makes you a lot happier too in the end.
No, definitely does. And again, having that mentality to keep pushing, keep striving, keep going, especially in either craft, because both are, again, I give you, I have to commend you a lot for even dedicating yourself to that lifestyle. Cause I've seen a lot of, again, what that rigorous process is for strongman competitions. Cause it's a lot, even if, like you said, it's for a timed amount that is usually very short with those little things, but it's like it's a lot that goes into even be able to do that for that short amount of time. That again, conditioning, the meal preps, this and that. The one YouTuber that was a strongman there I was like to watch is Eddie Hall.
Yep.
And seeing his way, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, I would go possibly nuts trying to do this to just again, follow that type of rigorous schedule and rigorous process. So you know what? Again, I give you all the props in the world to do that, and then decide, you know what? Okay, I've done this. Now let's jump into a whole nother crazy world. No, get wrestling here, or it's like again one process of just strength training. With this, it's like it's a whole nother beast of now upping the cardio, still having to worry about strength because going in there sometimes you have to rely on that as well, especially in a match that you're going into this Saturday, because you'll be a part of that Red Rose Rumble here. And you have 15 other competitors that you have to try to outpower and get them out of the ring. So as we're about to get into that, let me just go to the comments 1 second here as we got my good brother Toe from the Knucklehead Network. Yo, what's going on, brother? What's going on? But now we go into that. We go into, again, now fully immersed in 3 Legacies. You're a part of this stacked event this Saturday with the Red Rose Rumble 2 event. It was announced you have entered your way into the Red Rose Rumble here. So talk us through first what it just means to be a part of, again, this stacked event, and then going into the Red Rose Rumble number 2.
You know, I always say this, that there's a part of me that still is thinking about if I made the right decision buying the red shoes instead of the black one when I started training. And I'm still like, man, maybe I should have gotten a different pair of shoes. And to think that like that's still a thought in my head sometimes. And I'm also like about to enter Red Rose Rumble 2, the biggest 3 Legacies event of the year. We're talking about Clipper Magazine Stadium in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. Like, I don't know if you had a chance to see the drone shots from the fireworks when we had Independence Brawl there.
I got to see from the socials. Yeah, I got to see
the shots of like just the stadium itself in the middle of the city and how many people pack in there, and the shots from last year, if you saw them. And having been there last year and stood, you know, in security working production, and to now be on the other side, I don't know how I got here sometimes.
Yeah.
I really don't, you know. I remember I needed advice a while back, and Ricardo is one of the absolute best people I've ever found to ask advice from. And we talked about it, and at the end of the conversation, it was like, all right, that's exactly what and he just said, you know, just ride the wave. Just ride, and that's where I've been. You know, I've just been kind of following along, and like, this is how, you know, this is where we are. You know, and I'm getting ready to walk into this opportunity that is just out of this world. When you really think about it, the people who I'm about to be matched up against, the caliber of talent that's going to be there. And we all have one goal. You know, you got to be the last one there. Because ultimately, that's what this all comes down to. This whole thing is feeding into that. This opportunity feeds into that opportunity. And this is where I was talking about, if you saw when I was talking about this show coming up, that I value hard work. And that hard work creates opportunity. You know, if you really try at something, I'm sure that in your time doing this, you've probably encountered somebody who's like, oh man, I could do that. Or you might have somebody who's watching you who says, oh man, I could do that. But the difference is they're not doing that. You're doing it. From where you're sitting, they're just talking about it.
Yep.
You know, I'm still getting up every day and I'm lifting, getting ready for this. You know, I'm figuring out how much do my competitors weigh, and how high do I have to lift them to get them over that top rope? You know, and that's been the job every morning. But this is just an out of this world thing that's been put together by Three Legacies and the community that surrounds it. That really, that's what allows an event of this caliber to happen, is that you have this overarching pull, this gravitational force of what can only be good. That draws all of this in and all these people in and all of the businesses too that support 3LW.
And I was going to say that's something that I got to speak to Ricardo about, that you just see how this could easily be just something where it's like, you know what? This is Three Legacies Wrestling presenting something like this and just reaping the benefits of a stacked event like this. But you see so much of again, community effort here. You see all those amazing logos on the poster there, and just how much even small business is playing a part in this, where you get to truly see how much of a true community event this is. And this is something that it helps just the whole surrounding area,
Oh yeah, without a doubt.
So it is awesome to see. And again, to see how an event like this, you see that stacked roster there of just talent from all over. You have what we talked about a little while ago with just Jay of TJP will be there this Saturday. You have Sharkboy there this Saturday. Mr. Anderson, Mr. Kennedy for some, La Resistance, the Blue Meanie, and then so many more amazing talent, including those that are coming in and representing that Three Legacies Academy. And yourself, again, being a part of that academy, learning through those doors. Just how is it for you seeing, just even in that short year, how much Three Legacies has grown as not only a just promotion, but also as a school as well?
So, I had this conversation actually earlier today with someone who asked me about the event we just had this past weekend in Lebanon with 3LW Rise. And I mentioned to him about the pictures. Let this guy get past here. About the pictures from the show, how they were up, and he went on and was like, man, there's a lot of people there. There's a lot of people. And I said, yeah. Oh yeah, brother. This isn't some small thing. This is building. And from when I started, we were at Brightside Opportunity Center every month. And we were, that gym was getting hotter and hotter every month with all those people in there. And I mean, it was packed and packed and packed. And Red Rose Rumble last year, 2,500 people. I challenge people sometimes when they talk about, the size of a crowd at a show, and go back and watch some of the old NWA tapings. How many, watch some of the old early like UWA. Watch some Mid-South stuff. How many people were in the crowd then? You want to challenge on that. But the exponential growth from Brightside to Millersville University becoming one of the homes, to then seeing the absolute magnitude of the Lancaster Convention Center. To think that I made my main roster debut at the Lancaster Convention Center. This is an opportunity that as a student, you don't have everywhere else. And every school has its own merit, and every trainer has their own method. And there are so much that everyone can learn, and you can't ever think that you've learned it all. And you can't ever think that there's nothing you can learn, because once you decide you can't learn anymore, you stop learning, and you got to keep up. You got to keep up with how things change. You got to pay attention to new ideas. You have to be open to stuff. And, 3LW, just as it grows, that's what it's doing. It's looking for opportunities and ways to help. And it's as much about, everybody in the school as it is any one person. It's a really,
Definitely.
really tremendous thing.
And with that, again, you see it just how hungry each, again, student that's come out of it, just how hungry the roster is, how hungry it is for opportunities, where, again, it creates a matchup like this where you have, again, you see the showcase there. You see how many of those are hungry members of that academy right there. But then also, it's none other than the biggest test in there being the coach himself, the head trainer, the owner of Three Legacies Wrestling, Ricardo Rodriguez, being in there, a true seasoned vet in this. Your thoughts on, again, possibly, because he's going in there, unfortunately, at the very difficult number of entrant number 1. So there's a possibility by the time you enter, he might not be in there. Who knows? But if, again, by the time you do make your way to the Red Rose Rumble and he's still in there, how does that feel to now have that test in front of you of facing, again, the man that helped make you who you are here today?
This is an issue that I have considered, and I have considered with great weight since it was announced that there is the possibility that I could end up in the ring with Ricardo. And there is a possibility that things could evolve in a situation that one of us has to do something. And I don't think it's hidden anywhere, the great respect and admiration that I have for Ricardo Rodriguez. That man, I would defend him personally and professionally. But I also know how important Three Legacies Wrestling is to Ricardo Rodriguez. I see the toll that LCW's their pull has on Ricardo. I see the pain that's causing. I know in my heart that Hawthorne's stealing of the belt isn't what Lancaster deserves. And so should it come down to that situation, I would hope that Ricardo would understand trying to make the decision for the greater good. That getting my hands on that cup, that should anyone, for any reason, need to have their championship checked, I'm happy to do it. So I don't do what I want, I do what I should.
Got you. No, again, it is understood there. And again, that could be a situation that happens. Could we see it happen this Saturday? This is why you guys have to get your tickets now and be there for this stacked Red Rose Rumble 2 event. Link will be in the description down below. But as we continue here, we're going to go to the comments one more time here. Lancaster deserves Bro Keller. Hey, Bro has his chance. It will be Bro versus JS Hawthorne this Saturday. We will be speaking, though, with the thespian himself this Wednesday on Respect the Craft. So we'll see his thoughts. We'll see his thoughts on his current reign as Three Legacies champion here and see what he thinks. What he thinks, because I know he's also another one, as is Al Snook, that is not too liked at Three Legacies Wrestling. I heard just Jay's reasoning. I want to hear a little bit of yours, Byron. What is the disdain and hatred here for one of one Al Snook?
Well, I mean, I don't know if you saw, he jumped me in a parking lot one time and busted my head open. You know, that wasn't super fun.
I can only imagine. Yeah, that's not going to be the.
And listen, I'm going to say this politely, right? he can be a menace. And he can be a thug. And once before we've gone into the Hippodrome of Pain, and he got in my head. He got in my head. He got in my head. Yep. I'll say it that way. He got in my head. Yep. But turning his back on Ricardo at the showdown wasn't just turning its back on Ricardo. It was turning his back on 3LW. It was turning his back on Just Jay and Super Jen and me, on the whole city of Lancaster. He was what when I came and saw him debut, they announced him Lancaster, Pennsylvania. He comes out, and you should have heard that crowd just explode for him. They're just cheering and clapping, and they love him. He's the hometown hero, man. Now he's coming in from Paterson, New Jersey. From Paterson? What's going on, Snook? You know,
well then, I
can say all this because the worst he's gonna do is sneak up on me in a parking lot again.
Well then, again, we're gonna try to get some answers, get some reasoning out of him this Friday night. So definitely for those watching,
I'm gonna give you a hint. He ain't gonna answer.
I'm sorry to figure that, but again, we're gonna see. We're gonna hope maybe if I give some neutrality here, because again, I want to be unbiased and neutral to everyone, give everyone their respect and time here on the podcast. So we shall see.
He's got 6 different reasons, man. They're always floating through, man.
Gotcha. Again,
he's like the Joker explaining his scars, man. Every single time he's got something else.
Different story. Here we go. We got Jamadi saying, can't wait. Saturday won't get here fast enough. It definitely won't. Get it. It's a stacked event, a reason to be there. Brittany saying Hawthorne needs to shave his back. He's a hairy Hawthorne. Oh, jeez. We got Jamadi saying the Rumble itself should be as epic as it definitely will. Again, stacked 16 competitors there. It is going to be can't miss. Snook's Day is coming. Watch out, said there by Tammy. We shall see. Again, he's in a stacked 4-way this Saturday. And again, 3 hefty competitors to go in there with. My brother Smiley in there, Just Jay, and then the United Empire's own TJ Perkins. So Snook's Day might be Saturday, depending on what could happen. But we never know. Jamani questioning Paterson. Yes, Paterson, New Jersey. That is a place. That is a town. That's where he's been walking out from. We'll keep it at that. Byron is definitely a fan favorite and a true gem. There you go. Much love and respect there for Jamani. Awesome words there about our Kiltman here. But as we continue now I want to get into that. I want to, from again, that growth, getting into and deciding this is what you want to do, pushing through that insane just change up from strongman to this. Now, how do we find though Byron Simmons? How do we find the Kiltman? How do we find the Star Spangled Strongman? How do we start finding who you are when it comes to the wrestling side of things? How do we find the person we see in that squared circle?
I just kind of always have been who I always am. And you know, the whole thing with wearing kilts, I wear kilts most of the time because it is exceedingly hard to find pants when you're weightlifting like I do. You know, I gotta buy like I'm in my overalls right now because I wanted to dress nice for the podcast here. But the reality of it is, you know, I'm buying pants that are like 4 inches bigger in the waist to accommodate my leg muscles
Got you.
a lot of times, and it's just easier. And we live in the greatest nation on earth, and you have the freedom to wear a kilt almost any place, you know. And there's some etiquette that goes into it, and there's some tradition that goes into it. But the that's where all that comes from. And I do think that while we're not perfect here in the United States, we got a lot going for us.
Agreed. Agreed. And no, that makes sense. Again, it goes with just again finding those ways to incorporate some things and then having that it makes sense, especially coming from strongman. You're gonna have unfortunately you're gonna need some accommodations to make everything uh as comfortable as possible. So it definitely worked out. It definitely worked out. But now finding that though, finding your comfortability in this though, how was that process for you? Because again, it is a jump from strongman to now that insane world that we're in the craft here of professional wrestling.
So there's definitely some there's definitely been some growing pains throughout time and learning how to do things and the way things are done. And more or less though, I'm very fortunate that I for the most part know what I'm capable of, and I know what I can be depended on to do. And through 3LW, there are a lot of really experienced talent, veteran talent who, we stand on the shoulders of giants. And at the same, they're picking us up and they're showing us so many things. I had talent help me with developing my current ring gear, the gladiator kilt. And there's just so much of I found everything can be easier if we have conversations about things.
Definitely.
And that's just like in life in general. So when I don't understand, I ask a question. And that's just general advice that I would give to anybody in professional wrestling who's getting started or somebody who's like, ask a question. It's okay. Somebody's, you might get more support than you thought you're going to, or you might get a different way of looking at things.
No, and that's perfect, especially again, very still young in your career as well. That's awesome advice to give because it truly is something where, especially in locker rooms like you're gonna be this Saturday, where there's minds that have been in this for hell. I'll throw it out there again. I've been in this for longer than I've been alive. Because I'm still 26 going into this, and it's one of those where you have so much experience in that locker room this Saturday that it's like moments like that to just ask around and just to pick brains and be able to again perfect your craft here and continue to hone and learn your craft. It is moments like that that you need to continue to take advantage of. And thank you so much, Giovanni. Much appreciated. And look at that, we got AJ Morales saying Byron Simmons, what a guy. There you go. Much love there. We got
AJ Morales.
You got the Super Gen support here.
Gen.
But now as we continue that, and you find yourself again in this, you find yourself still very very young into this. Now finding yourself here in that Rumble this Saturday with an opportunity of again winning this gets you that heavyweight title shot. Something that I can imagine, especially being a part of Three Legacies Wrestling, to get that would mean just so much. But now seeing that grow from, like you said, a little over a year ago, being in that crowd, getting to see Ricardo Rodriguez there, to now be in an opportunity like this, how is that to just see that growth, like from the crowd to now be a part of a huge match, and how much this means to Three Legacies Wrestling?
I'll tell you what, it is not only it has not only been an absolute wild ride for myself and my family, but it is equally as kind of just soul filling when I see students who started after me have their first match too. That now it's this process that I witnessed backwards the first time. I witnessed a finished product and then began my own journey that got me to a product that could be out in front and available and getting to do what I love for people who have been just absolutely tremendous about it. And then getting to see it happen with another guy behind me and being like, man, I remember when that guy started. I remember when I told that guy, hey, bring more than one shirt, you know, and now he's like walking up and he's like, I got 8x10s, you know, it's this incredible thing. And it's a good feeling to win.
Yep.
It's a good feeling to win. And even just being here, because of the amount of hard work that has been put in, it feels like winning already. You know, it feels like no matter what the results are Saturday, I believe because of what I see happening that the person who's meant to have it is going to walk away with it. You know, it's going to be, this is going to happen. This is going to happen. There's so much positivity and so much good going into this. Yeah.
Got you. And here we go. We got AJ saying, got to do what I got to do in the Rumble, bud. Sorry. So there you go.
I respect that. AJ.
Right.
I will say that I respect that. I will also say that you are oh so fly, and you might just fly right over that top rope, buddy.
Oof. I was gonna say, I feel like again, I said this to Jay earlier. Maybe don't say comments like this when you're about to face someone on Saturday, because now they because Jay said about Smiley, and I was like, hey, maybe don't poke the bear, especially because I know Smiley very well, and he's very unpredictable as is. But if you poke the bear, you see a different side of
he was
Superman.
He was leaving letters at Jay's house.
Yeah.
You know, take it from me, Jay. When they start showing up at your house, brother, that's not a good sign, man. You know.
Yeah, he's one. He's again. That's my brother, but he might have dropped me on my head 1 or 2 times before, and again we're close. So yeah. AJ says comments have consequences. They do, AJ.
Whoa.
But we're telling you this as well because it goes both ways, brother. But again, good luck. Good luck again. I am neutral here. I am just hosting 3 Legacies week here. That's all I'm gonna do. But as we continue here back to Byron here, I do have to ask this because this is the hard hitting question we like to ask here. But again, being still young in your career, it still leaves the opportunity for this answer to be different. Who knows, a year from now, if we do this again, for your career so far, what would be a match that you would say has been a defining moment in your career so far?
Oh man.
I know it's a loaded question. I've started to ask this thanks to one Alex Shelley. I was like, you know what? I think this fits. We're gonna keep asking this to people because the answer always it always intrigues me when it comes to being able to pick apart so far the careers, you know?
I gotta think for like 10 seconds here.
All good. It's all good. Take your time. While he does that, we're gonna remind people once again to go follow 3 Legacies Wrestling on their social medias. Ticket link will also be in the description down below. Also, make sure you're following Byron on his social medias right there. The Kiltman on Instagram. We're gonna get him to get an X eventually, though. That's gonna be our thing with this week. Is remind everyone use social media, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah,
But
we're all finding out what social medias we need to get right.
yeah.
All right, so I'm gonna go with one that might seem like kind of an obvious one. There was another one that's kind of like a close second, but
Okay.
I would say the defining moment right now for me, the thing that I think about the most, the thing that I think is going to make me better,
Okay.
was the match against Al Snook at the Lebanon Expo Center for Come Alive.
Okay.
And I say that because I got to hand it to him. He didn't cheat. He didn't really cheat. He didn't do anything. He did nothing that you could outwardly say was wrong in the match. He did nothing that the ref could disqualify him for, and he knew that. And he didn't do anything in front of the ref he could get disqualified for, and he knew that. He got in my head. And that's been a moment for me that since then, you know, that's really kind of put me onto where I need to be and what I need to be focused on.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Gotcha. What would be that close second, if you don't mind us asking here?
So that would be a student showcase that I did with Bricks Porter.
Okay.
That was back in, I want to say it's like the December student show or November student show.
Okay.
And the reason why I would call that match is that I had just kind of settled on that I was gonna give this, like, everything was in this, and I shaved my beard off, and I was getting over not really feeling well, and I was coming back, and I had very little prep time. Bricks Porter is admittedly, he's bigger than me. He's taller than me. He ain't stronger than me though. But he and I went at it for a good while. And that was the first time that I had really had somebody who could try to manhandle me back like that. Because a lot of times, once I get my hands on you, that's where I excel. You know, is once I get my hands on you, we're going to have a conversation about why you're going to give up. And we can have that conversation here or on the ground, whichever one you want. But he was the one guy, you know, he's the one guy at Homecoming when I wrestled him a second time. Like I said, I mean, I picked him up for a Saito and popped right to the face, man. You know, he's got some veteran skills, and going toe to toe with him was, I learned a lot that night.
Gotcha.
So those two.
No, it works because it's two very different scenarios and two very different learning opportunities and moments. So that works. That works very well there. But from matches that you've had and matches that we're talking about in the future, I do like to ask this question as well. So it could be for members of the Three Legacies roster, or even just anyone that you would want to face. Who are some people that you could throw out there that you would like to share that ring with in the future?
Oh man, that is make me feel bad if I leave somebody off. You know what I mean? But the reality is,
it's always a great question because we've thrown this out there, and some matches have happened. So it's one of those where we like to put it out in the air because you never know. You never know what could happen.
Yeah, I mean, like I'll give you one of my absolute like if we were to call it like the long shot match, right? Like that's the one where it's like we're gonna defy all rules, logic, and timing and stratosphere. I'll give you two of them. One would be Mick Foley.
Oh, okay.
Mick Foley is the reason that I fell in love with professional wrestling. As a kid, staying up late, past bedtime, getting to watch. I still remember that first like core memory I have of professional wrestling is Mankind, and it's just burned into my brain like the image of Mankind in a ring on television. I couldn't tell you who he was wrestling. I couldn't tell you what it was. But just that image is just burned in of like that's what wrestling is Mankind, right?
Gotcha.
And on the flip side, would be Brock Lesnar.
Okay. That I like because that shows though someone that possibly could maybe go that strength for strength there because
Yeah.
dude, that is no small man right there.
No, I and that's kind of my whole like when I think about that, it's like if there's a pick 'em up, slam 'em.
Yeah.
Let's pick 'em up, slam 'em.
Got you.
You know
No.
what I mean? Now, but on a very much like in the near and dear future.
Yeah.
We could talk about that too. I don't know, we got a couple minutes here. But I'd love to get back in there with you, Snooki, wherever he's at, because I'll bet you he could be watching this and just not even in the chat, because that's how Snook for you, right?
Possibly.
I'd love to climb back in there with him. I mean, I'd also Hawthorne. I really thought I had my shot at him with that open audition. I really came in and gave that what I could, and man, he had me going to the very end. I'd love to, but that's more about doing what's right.
Gotcha.
I would love to just for the fun of it, Darian Hardaway.
Ooh, okay.
Because I think we're two strong boys, and I think we could do some strong boy things together.
Definitely.
I'd like to see what happened there. I'd also, Smiley, without a doubt, for the fun of it. Bro Keller.
That would be fun to see that contrast of styles there, because Smiley definitely is likes to use that fast pace, likes to use that style in there to see how it would contrast with your strength. So that would be interesting to see.
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to lock up and go around with Bro Keller. I feel like that would be a lot of fun.
Okay.
But that feels more like that feels more like, I'd like your older brothers locking up with you to show you a thing or two. You know what I mean? There's so much talent. And I tell you what, there's so much talent coming up on the 3LW Rise roster too. That are just, there's so many combinations and possibilities that it's just not fair to keep listing everybody.
No, definitely. And that's the best thing, because a lot of these could be possibilities that will be happening in that near future. And again, I always like to ask this because, like I said, in the future, when we do a part 2, that answer could change, because a lot of those could possibly already happen.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, this match happened already, so now I could put in this person or this or this.
Yeah.
And again, you never know what could happen. So
cool.
That is always the best thing. But as we start wrapping this up here, Byron, because I don't want to take up too much more of your time, because again, you have to prepare for this huge matchup on Saturday at the Red Rose Rumble 2 event here. I have to ask you for yourself, for the Kiltman himself, for the Star Spangled Strongman, what is the end goal, brother?
The end goal is restoring the honor to the 3 Legacies Wrestling Heavyweight Championship title by any means that Lancaster deserves. I see the good, hardworking people of Lancaster and Lebanon and all the surrounding areas coming out to our shows and supporting us, and the food drives and the clothing drives, and to think that right now there wasn't even bro wasn't even pinned. And we can pull out the rule book and we can flip through it and we could say, yeah, but we all know what happened that day. Hawthorne cashed in the cup, slid in, and saw an easy opportunity. But that's okay. Because the rest of us are coming.
There you go. And again, that's a conversation I definitely will be having this Wednesday with Hawthorne as we discuss his actions and his preparation getting into a true one-on-one matchup this Saturday with Bro Keller. But from that, again, I want to remind everyone, if you haven't already, make sure you are following Byron there on his Instagram the Kiltman right there. Make sure you are following Three Legacies Wrestling on their social media at Three Legacies on X. Make sure you're following them on Instagram, 3L Wrestling right there. Get your tickets by following the link down below if you haven't already. And again, thank you so much, Byron, for joining us, and to everyone in the comments. There we go. We got Tammy saying it. USA, USA. There you go. Much love always. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. And don't forget, tomorrow we continue Three Legacies week here, as we'll be joined by none other than referee Larry Peace, as well as my good brother Smiley, as we continue the week here on the channel. But as always, don't forget to be wise, be genuine, be real, be better people, respect the craft. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace, everybody.